Hello and welcome to episode 10 of One Controller Port Podcast. 10 episodes in just under a year. That's taken a long time, Ben, and probably 4 of those episodes were from a couple months ago. And it's been a while since I recorded one. Honestly, I didn't really have all that much I wanted to talk about for a while, so I kind of let it be. So you just heard a track from Wario's Woods. It's that's the from the NES version of Wario's Wood. There's actually a Super Nintendo version and just a Super Nintendo version along with the NES version. Um, it's actually the last Nintendo Entertainment System title released in America. I'm not sure about Japan or Europe. But I know in America, it is the very last NES title ever to release, which was crazy. It was like 1990, was it 4 or 1995? I don't remember the year, but it was like just a few years behind the Nintendo 64. um, but yeah, it's got some good music. It's a good game. I haven't played the Super Nintendo version before, so yeah, I don't know how that goes about. This week I don't have a video review. I don't remember what I talked about in the last One Controller Port podcast when it comes to videos, but I've been doing the never-ending backlog, and I've got 5 videos now. So the last one was Shinobi. So and then I'm focusing on a freelance article this week, so I didn't do another this week. I'll try to have one by next week though. I might make it a bi-weekly thing because it was a lot of work to do it weekly. weekly. Although I have enough games backed up that I could do it. Enough games that I recently played and could talk about. I always have an endless backlog that I could always touch on. So yeah, that's not ending anytime soon. Uh, so yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm not gonna do any news this week because honestly, there's been news, but nothing I really want to talk about. There's like stuff. This is kind of old. This is pretty old now. The whole Gaikai thing with Sony. I don't think there's much to say about that right now because we don't know enough. I've seen some people talk about it, but it's just like it's not really enough to say anything. Um, there's some random sprinkles of stuff like Battlefield 4 showing up and stuff, but it's like nothing really too talk worthy. So instead, I'm going to touch on 2 subjects this time around. So I'm already pretty far into the intro, so let's go ahead and get started. So one thing I have been doing, has it been 2 weeks now or a few weeks? I've actually been watching GameCenter CX, and if you don't know, that was called a Retro Game Master in North America. There are about 12 episodes that were localized and then put on Kotaku, and I enjoyed them for what they were. I actually didn't find the episodes they posted all that interesting on Kotaku. There were a couple good ones, but then a lot of them I felt were lacking. But I started watching the Japanese ones that people have fan translated, and it's called Game Center CX under the Japanese name. And I've actually found a lot of episodes that I do really like. And so yeah, it's been fun. I got about 13 episodes in, and then I watched one of the like specials they have where like Reno, which is the guy who hosts the show, goes to a bunch of like arcade stuff. And that's kind of nice thing. The difference between the Japanese and the English version is that they cut out sections in the English version, which kind of stinks because a lot of those extra sections where he goes to arcades and stuff are more entertaining than the actual game he's playing. I don't really get why they took those out, other than I guess just localization costs, keeping them down. Maybe or there's something about in regards to like the footage they use they couldn't. They'd have to get special permissions or something. I don't know. But yeah, and so I guess I should say that if you don't know what Game Center CX is, essentially just this comedian guy, Japanese comedian guy, who plays video games and he's not very good at them. So yeah, and so he tries to beat old retro games in about 1 to 3 days. 3 I think is the longest time he's played a game. And he sits down and plays them for extended periods of time, and they're actually really entertaining to watch. Surprisingly, I'm not a fan of like let's plays and stuff. That's why I've been doing Curse Mountain videos for my sister, but I hate talking in them because I feel like I'm just talking over the game. So I'm like blah, blah, blah. But yeah, and so I've been really enjoying that, probably because it's kind of just cut up and kind of puts you through all the high points rather than having these big gaps of pretty much nothing or talking about completely off topic stuff. But yeah, it's got me back into retro games a bit, which I'll talk about that in the let's play or what I play setting. Oh, let's play. That's not what I do. Well, I guess I do it now because I'm playing Curse Mountain, but it's not really let's play. Anyways, but yeah. So one thing I also did was I reorganized my games. I used to have them all across my desk, but I put them in the closet. So, but I didn't put them in like box or anything. I have like these shelves in my closet, and so I was able to place them across and present them nicely. So when I my closet, it's like, whoa! Look at all these games I have. So, although I left the portables out because I was honestly low on space in my closet. So, but one thing I really did notice when I was doing it is that I got a lot of PS2, Wii, GameCube, Xbox games, and some a small collection of PS3 games because I haven't really been playing that many PS or next gen games to be honest. But I really noticed that my retro collection is pretty lacking. I have Nintendo 64 games, about I'm looking at it now. I'm terrible at counting without like actually counting them. I don't want to sit here and count them. Maybe about 15 or 20 in 64 games. Probably about 10 NES games, and probably about like 10 or so PlayStation 1 games. And N64 and PlayStation 1, that's I don't know if those are in the same vein as some people would call retro. To me, pretty much anything that's older. I want to say it's retro, but they're older games. um, and then I have a small Dreamcast collection too, and it doesn't even take up one shelf. And it's so disappointing looking at that. And I realized like all the older games I own are are either digital or not even that. Not I mean that many digital, but I do own retro games digitally, and then also through compilation discs like the Sonic Mega Collection and Sonic Genesis Ultimate whatever PS3 collection thing. Yeah, it's just kind of disappointing. It's like I look at it, I'm like, man, I don't really have that many older games, and it's made me like look at NES games again. Like I really should get some NES games. Although my NES has been kind of finicky. Not really sure what to do about that. I might fix that in the future if I get brave enough. But yeah, and also like with this the recent summer Steam sale and well mainly with the recent summer Steam sale, I look at games a lot and I see on Steam a lot of games are like dirt cheap. Like they had The Witcher for like two 250 I think or something really low, and then I go to Amazon. It's like $20 for a copy of The Witcher, but I just sit there and go, I would rather pay the 20 if I could get a box for it, even though LOL PC games come with Steam code. At least Lost Planet did it. I think most games come with some sort of code these days, which kind of stinks in my book. But oh well, what are you gonna do? Yeah, and I realized I'm not prepared for a digital future at all in terms of games, at least. Like I love my collection and I love having that physical collection, and when I buy digitally, I just feel regret. I'm like, I wish I had a copy of that. That's how I feel. Like any game that I buy digitally, I usually am like, I wish I had a copy of that. Like recently, might as well just say now I beat Castlevania III, although I'll talk about it in detail later. And I just like, I wish I had a copy of this because I don't. I just have the virtual console version, and it's so disappointing on my part. It makes me sad. just sit, just sit there and look at my collections like it's so puny up there, the tiny thing. So yeah, I don't know how I'm gonna get over that because as the future goes on, we already see it with XBLA, PSN, and Steam. Just like so many software titles, and these days fairly large software titles are on digital platforms, and I just don't really have the heart to buy them usually because I'm just like, I wish I had a physical product of this. Although it's not so bad if it's only digital. Um, But still, I mean, if I had the choice, I buy a physical game over a digital one, even if I wanted it. But also, I'm not really big into like stuff like that's borderline indie or is indie games. Like I don't know if you consider. I guess Fez is considered indie. I think one guy made it, but that just like I don't really care. Look at it like yeah, whatever. So yeah, pretty much all I was gonna say was I'm sad about a digital future. So we're past our 10-minute mark, so I guess this podcast has been becoming more and more like a 15-minute podcast. So maybe that will be my new motto of it's a 15-minute podcast, not a 10-minute, but then that might be pushing it too far. But I guess we'll just go into what I've been playing, because you care, apparently. If you listen to this, I guess. You might be just like, I don't really give a crap, just end this over. But yeah, so I guess I can try to go in order. I don't remember, I don't remember the last thing I was playing when the last podcast went up, but I do know that I played Space Channel 5 Part 2. That was great. Um, I might do some video on that in the future. We'll see. I haven't decided what the next video will be yet. That shows you how far along it is. um, and then I started Advanced Wars, although I don't think I'm going to go through Advanced Wars. I was playing it, I got about 6, 7 missions in. I did all the training missions too. And I'm just not feeling it. I got stuck and I was like, eh. So that might be a later title to tackle. I've only had it for I don't know 12 years now. It did make me feel like I really need to get a Game Boy player though for my GameCube because my GBA SP is just kind of eh. I really don't like the GBA SP. I really should play it on my DS is falling apart though. That's the problem. And LOL 3DS doesn't have a GBA slot, but it would expect it to, I guess. Um, so yeah, and then so more recently though, I played through Castlevania. I guess I didn't play through Castlevania 3. I had gotten through Castlevania 3, and on the Wii, there's not really save states per se, like where you can just save through the game and oh I died, let me go back. They do let you if you exit through the Wii menu, it will save where you're at, but once you boot the game back up, that state is lost. So it's like you never turn the NES off, or the system off in that case. Although I don't think it works for 64 games. Um, so yeah, and so I had a couple save files. Although I guess I use the password system anyway, so I guess that works out. But yeah, I had a well, I got to that point, and then I wrote down the password because I tried replaying it with different characters. But yeah, so I had a password at the last boss with Alucard. Well, Alucard was on my team. Dracula was the last boss. And after 4.5 hours of trying, I finally beat Dracula. So yeah, it's like yeah, that's I don't know how many years I've had that, 3 or 4. But yeah, that was like I felt great and horrible at the same time. It's like I really spent 4.5 hours doing that. But the important thing was that I wasn't really disappointed, which I guess something that I guess a lot of retro games for me, I don't really feel it when I play it, but when I'm playing it or when I'm not playing it, I feel I'm going to be disappointed by the end of this. I don't know why I have that train of thought like with it. Like I feel like I'll be disappointed, but then I play it and I usually have a good time, so I don't really get what's up with that thought. So yeah, and then so I was like, I can beat anything, and I went to go play Soldier Blade, which is a top-down shooter by I think Hudson, uh, one of the sequels to Star Soldier, and I haven't beaten it. I'm on like Operation 6, and that game is. I'm not good at top-down shooters at all. I think that one's considered an easier shooter, and I'm just like failing at it horrendously. Um, so yeah, and then finally, a friend of mine let me try his copy of Final Fantasy XIV to see if it ran on my computer. And if you know me, I was a huge Final Fantasy XI flop-a-bop fanboy. Um, and so I'm like, yeah, it runs on my computer, so that was good enough for me. And so I bought a Final Fantasy XIV and waiting for it to get shipped in still. But yeah, so I guess I'll be playing that, I guess. Woohoo. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I'm particularly excited about that because I am excited. I know I am, but it's like, oh, it's an MMO and MMOs and me do not go so well together. So I'm gonna end this actually with the game I've never played in terms of music here. Um, and I'm going to play you the opening theme for a game called Magical Date EX, which is a game where it's not really dating at all. You go on dates, quote, um, and you basically take pictures of her while she poses and stuff, and then at the end I think you get asked some questions, and it's like magical date. It's like not really, but yeah, it's like a '90s arcade game. So yeah, it's pretty weird, and for some reason the opening theme's been stuck in my head. So I hope you enjoy it. So yeah, that's it. Bye.